This Carmelo Anthony story has so many layers to it. Of course, you have the official details, but none of Carmelo's supporters seem to care about those. I mean, we have an entire arrest report that lays out how this entire situation played out, but Carmelo's supporters do not care about that. I don't know if they don't know how to read. I don't know what it is. But they're creating their own stories and scenarios every day. So that's one layer to the story. And then, of course, we have Carmelo's family coming out here doing press conferences, playing the victim. And that's another layer. And then we have Austin's dad, who seems to I think he's trying to be like the voice of reason in this story. He's trying to create peace. But it's not working because the other layer to this story is the reaction online. Everyone's fighting, everyone's debating, everyone's divided. So many layers, right? And of course, we can't forget that we have this activist group that popped up, and now they're representing Carmelo's family. And speaking of, if you ask me, that is the worst decision. The worst decision that Carmelo's family could have made. Carmelo's family allowing this baby beater and his organization to represent them is the biggest mistake they could have made. And I'm really wondering, were they aware of this guy's history? Did they know about this guy's background? I mean, he almost killed a 2-year-old baby. He beat and violently shook his ex-girlfriend's 2-year-old baby to the point that the baby's brain started bleeding and hemorrhaging. His retinas disconnected from his eyeballs and started hemorrhaging, right? And then there's literally news articles and news clips from when he beat up his wife. He's known for putting his hands on black women. He's attacked black women in the past. Literally in 2020, at a Trump protest, he tried to attack a black woman and winded up getting his behind beat. And man, oh man, was it relieving to see that. It was so satisfying to see that. I can't show it here for obvious reasons. But if you want to see Dominique Alexander get his face shoved into the concrete after trying to attack a woman, go follow me on X. I posted a video clip of it happening over there. So I'm just wondering if Carmelo's family was aware of any of this when they decided that he was the stand-up guy, the role model for their son that they wanted representing them and their family and speaking for them. Because they could not have made a worse decision. And there's just so much ratchet, nasty, dirty stuff attached to this guy. He's responsible for a protest that happened, a riot that happened. 5 cops were killed during that protest. I mean, you could spend days, and I'm going to have to make separate videos fleshing out a lot of the stuff that this guy has been known for, a lot of the stuff this guy has done in the past. And it's mind-boggling to me that any parents would want to attach their kid to someone like this. But I was worried about this guy when he entered into the equation. Not because he's a smart guy, he's a freaking idiot. He's proven that time and time again since stepping forward in this case. But I was worried because he's got this activist group. And I'm not sure how many of you guys know this. You should know this by now. But every level of government, every institution, the justice system, the legal system, the court system, all of it is infiltrated by these activists who are just like Dominique. The entire system here in America is infiltrated by these activists. And yeah, sure, Dominique is an idiot. But oftentimes in life, and a lot of us have learned this, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Dominique doesn't know anything, right? He's not that bright of a guy. But who does Dominique know? Who is his little activist group attached to? What connections do they have locally? What connections do they have nationwide? You see, what I'm worried about is that he and his little organization may have some ties to some judges, DAs, you name it, around Texas, and maybe even in other locations as well. I'm worried about the connections that he may have with certain people in the legal system, the justice system, the court system, whatever you want to call it. We already know that the judge who let Karmelo off with that weak bond, we know that she was literally referring to herself as a diversity hire. And she was having seminars about diversity in the judicial system. She herself is basically what you would call an activist. I'm not saying that she has any ties to Dominique. But if you got judges like that one already in this area, who knows who Dominique may be attached to? Well, apparently, it's now been exposed that he supposedly, allegedly may have had an affair with a Dallas police chief. So I was worried that there may be some connections there. And now it looks like there may be some connections there. Now, all of this was exposed by Sarah Fields. I want to go ahead and dive into this information because it's worrisome. It's definitely worrisome because I've already been kind of skeptical if this is going to be a fair trial. And when I say a fair trial, I'm worried about these activist judges and even this jury, possibly trying to let Karmelo off easy, right? Because of you know why. But before I dive into this information any further, people often ask, how can they support the channel? And the answer to that question is very, very simple. You can support the channel by liking the video, subscribing, sharing the video on social media, and by ringing that notification bell so you can be notified of my next upload. These are all free, quick, and easy ways to support the channel. But if you like what you're seeing, if you like what you're hearing, if you appreciate the hard work, and you would like to donate even further, you could always donate via Cash App or Super Thanks. It's always greatly appreciated. Now, with that being said, let's dive into this information that is being exposed about this baby beater and his connections to this Dallas police chief. As if Dominique Alexander's rap sheet and the findings of his organization being fraudulent weren't enough, according to multiple sources within the police department, Alexander had an affair with former police chief Renee Hall. During the George Floyd protest, also known as the Summer of Love, the Dallas PD appointed their new chief of police, Chief Renee Hall. She was the first woman and one of the few African American women to hold the position. Prior to Dallas, she was the deputy chief of the Detroit Police Department. You may ask, how was she appointed? Dallas City Manager T.C. Broadnax quietly hired a panel to appoint the new police chief. One of those on the panel was none other than Dominique Alexander. Why was a convicted felon and someone who hates law enforcement as much as Alexander placed on a panel of 56 people from various neighborhoods to pick the next police chief? The Dallas Police Association was against Dominique Alexander being one of the 56. This appointment came after Dominique planned the protest march in downtown Dallas just 1 year prior, which ended with 5 officers losing their lives. I want to pause right here. So this is already concerning, and we haven't even gotten really into the meat and potatoes of what is about to be revealed here. I love meat and potatoes, by the way. But anyway, this guy who's responsible for this protest and this riot that resulted in 5 cops getting killed, for some reason he has a say-so in who's going to be the next police chief. Out of the entirety of this area, you get 50-something people. And this guy just happens to be one of them. Someone with a known history of having these horrible encounters with police. Someone who's gone on a high-speed chase from police. Someone who's beaten up a 2-year-old until they're almost dead. And he has a say-so in who the police chief is? That right there just lets you know there's some connections, there's something odd going on here. And it lets you know that the justice system, the court system, whatever you want to call the system, it's messed up. If this guy has a say-so in anything, then something ain't being ran right. Something ain't right. And this is making me worry even more about the trial. Because this guy obviously has some sort of pull, some sort of connections. But let's keep on reading. While Chief Renee Hall was in her position, she regularly met with Dominique Alexander regarding protest and other matters. Not only was he on the panel, but she also frequently positioned him prominently in an advisory role for the Citizens Police Oversight Board. During this time, Dominique was in a relationship with Kiera Sanders, the same woman that he beat up. Dominique Alexander often used his affiliation with Chief Renee Hall and DA John Crozet to intimidate Sanders. He told her that no one would believe her about him putting his hands on her because he was friends with the police chief. However, according to multiple sources within the police department at the time, Dominique Alexander was allegedly having an affair with Chief Renee Hall. Once this allegation became public, confirmed by 4 separate police and civilian sources at the Dallas Police, Hall left office within 24 hours after serving 3 years. We got to pause right there. What? So I knew about the allegations. I knew about Dominique Alexander beating up his wife and stuff like that. I knew about that. And I was planning on making a video about that before this, but there's just too much going on. I got all of these different videos I need to make. I was aware of him beating up his wife and stuff. I was not aware that he was using his connections to the police chief to silence her. That's some messed up. I can't even say what I want to say right now here on this platform. That's some messed up stuff. It's bad enough that you're putting your hands on a woman, but then you're using your connections to the police chief and these judges and stuff to intimidate her into silence. And mind you, you're an activist that is out here pretending to speak for other victims and stuff while you're victimizing your wife at home. And then allegedly you're having an affair with the police chief that you're holding over your wife's head. Your wife is scared to call the police about what you're doing to her. Meanwhile, you're sleeping with the police chief, allegedly. And this is who Karmelo's family said, oh man, look at that stand-up guy. Look at that, oh man, I need him to represent me. Worst decision they could have ever made. But let's keep going. There's a little bit more. T.C. Broadnax is now the Austin city manager, earning $470,000 a year on top of his base salary. Broadnax's employment agreement with the city includes thousands of dollars in extra compensation, including a cell phone allowance and a temporary housing allowance. Why has Dallas always catered to this man? A man who hates law enforcement, injured a baby, domestically hurt his girlfriend, committed theft, evaded arrest, the list goes on. Based on my findings, I would say money and fear. Dallas needs to remove Dominique Alexander from all activities in Dallas, including or involving elected officials, and place his fraudulent organization on a ban list. Here's a meme that was circulating around Dallas in 2020, around the time that the affair was allegedly going on. Now, naturally, everyone that's hearing about this, they're going to be transfixed and stuck on the fact that Dominique may have had this affair with the police chief or the former police chief in Dallas. Now, the police chief denies these claims. Dominique denies these claims. But several people within the police department have confirmed that this is true, or they say this is true. And once these rumors came out and these reports came out about this affair, the police chief literally stepped down and left her position within 24 hours. And if that's not saying that she is guilty of having an affair, I don't know what is. But affair, an affair or no affair, it really doesn't matter. What matters here is that now this proves that Dominique does have some pull. Dominique does have some connections. Everyone's going to be hung up on, oh, was he banging the police chief or not? My argument is, it doesn't matter if he was or not. Yeah, I believe he was. But either way, he has these connections. Connections to judges, police officers, DAs, connections to the city officials. And you got to understand, this organization is not just Dominique. He's in the forefront. He's the one that's doing all the press conferences. He's the one that we're talking about. But there's other people in this organization as well, right? And we don't know what type of connections they have. And I'm telling you right now, Dominique doesn't just have connections to these local officials in Dallas. He's got connections to members of Congress and other politicians. He's really buddy-buddy with Jasmine Crockett. Who would be surprised about that? I mean, that was kind of a given, right? So, it's worrisome. It makes you raise your eyebrows, kind of like The Rock, wondering, hey, is there some fishy stuff going on behind the scenes here? But you guys let me know what you think about this information down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.